not going to make it.
I think item 5 is what we just voted on.
No, item 5 being item 3, sorry, school site presentations.
Got it.
Yes, the new 5.
The new 5. We're on to the new
Yes.
5.
What's the new number 1?
So you take care of yourself, Trustee Dice.
Thank you, thank you.
The purpose of this last item is for the board to gain an understanding of the focus areas of each school and how the school staff are addressing the district's focus goals, targets, and priorities for this year. In this presentation, you'll hear from Jacqueline Allen Lathan, who is the principal of Annie Yates Elementary School, K-8, and then you'll also hear from Will Shavrin, Principal Shavrin. He'll be next from the Emory Secondary School.
So while Ms. Lathan is setting up, I just want to remind the board that in the principal's presentations today, they'll definitely focus on what is happening specific at their sites, but you all will have a formal presentation or like an in-service on 1, Common Core, 2, response to instruction and intervention. You will also have 1 in terms of an update, in terms of where we are with science, and also with English language development. So at this time, the principals will not address LCFF and LCAP because that's an issue that the district needs to address, and then we'll bring that forth to you in terms of what that plan looks like and what are the details of the of assembling that advisory board.
Do you know when we'll be getting those other plans to the board?
We have until June 30th, and we have to, it's a full plan that involves community engagement and involvment, and we can provide you with the timeline and give you the full plan.
Yeah, I can. So between November and December, you'll get the Common Core and the RTI one, and then in terms of the science, that'll be in the spring, and the ELD will probably be somewhere in March.
Okay, thank you.
So it'll give Ms. Miller some time just to gather more data for you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so this evening I'll talk about some of the school goals in relation to the district goals or the district focus areas. And the 3 district focus areas are increased student attendance in school and class, student leadership and voice, and proficiency in math and English language arts. And so all of the slides and all of the information that I will provide to you tonight are based around those 3 areas. Okay, so increased attendance in school and class. I think for the elementary school is mostly in school, just making sure kids are at school and on time. In 2012-13, the average attendance was about 96%, and that's actually a pretty good average. What our concerns are of course, those 4%, making and keeping that number up and improving it, but then also working on the tardies. A lot of the kids cannot control what time they get to school if their parents are bringing them, but just really stressing to parents that having their kids to school on time every day is very important. I put it in the parent update and spoke with Wanda Hundley, and she's going to help with our SART process this year. Last year, Rodney, the retired teacher, did it, and it made huge improvements in terms of those 4% of students who did not come to school every day on time. So we're hoping to follow in that same manner this year. So the goal is to increase 97%. Ms. Parham, who works on enrollment and attendance for the school, pulls the attendance, and we go over it on a quite frequent basis in terms of what students are coming to school on time every day. And acknowledge students with perfect attendance and improved attendance. Last year, Ms. Miller worked with the ELAC, the parents who participate on ELAC, and we did perfect attendance at least once last year, maybe twice, and so it's on the calendar, and we'll continue in that same vein. So the idea is to praise kids basically when they come to school every day on time, and to acknowledge them. And then the SART, which is what Ms. Hundley will work on with myself and Ms. Parham, will also help with that, and telephone calls home. Ms. Walker, who was the admin assistant for a few years, called families every day if their kids weren't at home, weren't at school every day. And so we want to continue with that. We're putting processes in place so we can do that. Student leadership and voice. This year we established an associated student body, ASB, and Ms. Brenda Collins is the chair of that. For 7th and 8th grade, they held, we had campaigning, elections. It was really awesome and promoted a lot of student leadership and voice. The students also will work on the following activities: the Harvest Festival, Winter Dance, 8th grade promotion, leadership mentoring from ESS ASB as well for our 7th and 8th grade ASB. We'll also have Peacemaker leadership training. It will start, I believe, on October 17th for 35 of our 3rd through 6th grade students. And that is basically an organization soul shop. I was introduced to them through a workshop at ACOE a few years ago, and they help students, they train students on how to be how to do conflict resolution.
Do we know how we're going to pick those 35 students out of the 3 grades?
Yeah, so the teachers basically send me a list of students, and they have a criteria. The students have to have great effort in class, and strong leadership skills, or they believe the student has the ability to have strong leadership skills, and a few other things. Gender, make sure it's ethnically diverse in terms of the leadership team for the 3rd through 6th grade students as well.
So at this time, we do have a 7th and 8th grade ASB?
Yes, and the students are here to speak, so they'll come up in a minute.
Okay.
And then also ECCL project with Anna Yates teachers, students, and Ms. Corey. I met with Corey in the beginning of school, so a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about a project with a couple of the NEA's teachers and some of our students. They may not be students with the that are participating in ASB, but to work on a project about the garden and really leading a project so that we can figure out ways in which we can continue the garden work when we go to ECCO.
Will that be started this year?
This year, yeah. All right, so is this the time when the ASB will come up? All right. Haley.
Oh, she's a star. I know Haley.
Yeah, she's the president of 8th grade.
Oh, she's the president?
Yeah.
Very fitting.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Haley Mack, and I am the Annie Yates 2013-2014 8th grade ASB president. This year we have the pleasure of having 7th and 8th grade ASB. And our 7th and 8th grade officers, for 7th grade, the president is Kiara Alexander. Vice President is Abdul Foloronzo. The Secretary is Jaskriat Singh, and the Treasurer is Victoria Peterson. For 8th grade, I'm the 8th grade President. For Vice President is Livia Tafari. Secretary is Kalaya Acevedo, and Treasurer is Tiffany Hernandez. Each meeting we have discussions, discussion topics, and we learn leadership training. We feel like this is a great start in transitioning us into high school. Some of the things we work on are we're currently planning the Harvest Festival, getting all of the prizes and games for the little kids together. And the drama club and some of the PTO are planning the haunted house. Some of my ideas for this year are having some kind of electives for the 6th through 8th. I'd also like to have some kind of conflict mediation like the peacemakers for 3rd through 6th. And we also started talking about the fundraisers that we're going to have to get money for all of the winter dances and all the things that we want to do this year. And so we're going to have a bank account for the 7th and 8th. And whenever someone wants to take money out of that bank account, they will have a process where they fill the form out, and it goes through all of the officers. Yeah, and I'm really glad that we have ASB this year. I think it'll really help this year and all of the other students to come. Thank you.
Wait,
Very nice.
hold on. Wait a minute, Haley. Wait a minute. Now, I am expecting for the ASB to invite board members to some of your meetings to talk about things and issues that you all have as students like we did last year, okay?
I will.
All right, so I'm open to that, so you just let me know and I'll be there, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank-
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haley.
Darling. So cute.
Okay, proficiency in math and English language arts. The goal this year is for 80% of students or an additional 3 students per class. We'll demonstrate mastery on monthly formative assessments. So about 2 years ago, we began to assess students more frequently to get regular information about how they're progressing, and we basically took that recommendation from Dr. Johnson from the National Center of Urban School Transformation, and it has helped tremendously in terms of helping teachers plan, helping myself and the school coach know where students are and if they've mastered standards. And then if they don't master standards, what are we doing about it? And that's something that we're working on this year, is to be more strategic in terms of how we're addressing those needs. Teachers and staff will continue to use the assessment data to inform their instruction. And the school coach, Ms. Colon, the classroom teachers and education specialists will collaborate and plan lessons to address student needs. So during collaboration time, it provides teachers an opportunity, because now the education specialists join them in the collaboration meeting, so it'll give them an opportunity to really plan around that. And that might take some time, but that's our goal.
So can you kind of illuminate on how we are addressing students who are not, through your assessment process, who are not up to proficient? How are we going about addressing those students so we can get them up to proficient?
Right. So we have a bulk of our students, which is not a bad thing, and however, we need them to be proficient, who are at that basic level, and I think that's the conversation that the staff that we need to start having, is how are we addressing the kids who are in that basic. We are fortunate in that don't have as many students as we've had in the past years who are far below basic and below basic, and this is measured on a CST.
Right.
However, we know that even during the 4-week assessments, those students typically, not always, but typically aren't mastering the standards at that time as well, right?
Right.
So to answer your question in terms of the students who are low,
Right.
that's what we're working. That's what our goal is this year. How are we actually addressing it? In the past, we've had focal students,
Right.
so teachers have 3 students that they choose to work with closely and have learning partnerships with. We have education specialists who work with groups of students. It's shifted a little bit this year because now the education specialists are pushing more into the classroom, which means they don't have as much time to do small group intervention with the kids who are gen ed, but they still work with gen ed students in the classroom and pull out.
But they're predominantly for special ed students.
It's predominantly for special ed because they're education specialists. However, they do work with gen ed students. And so in the RTI model, when it comes to the different tiers,
Right.
That's a conversation we're having this year, is how do we strengthen that?
So what I'm hearing you say, we have not figured out an intervention strategy to address those students who are below proficiency.
I would not say we haven't addressed it. I feel this year we need to go to another level.
Okay.
Because we've been addressing it with the focal students, we've been addressing it with the Learning Center, and we've been addressing it with, for example, kindergarten. They get out at 1:30, so from 1:30 to 3, the kids who are not proficient or who need some skill building work with the kindergarten teachers.
Right.
Ms. Miller pulls kids and works with them, so we do have structures in place,
Right.
but we know we need to strengthen them.
And we're working on the how to get to that next
Yes.
level.
Yes.
Do you know when you can come back to the board with that how?
Yeah, it might take a few months, but I think so.
I mean, spring, I'm not, springtime.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, Ms. Allen will piggyback. She'll probably see you all more often because she's helping to lead us in I do this because that's the RTI kind of framework, the sign, the symbol, but she's been working with us on the response to intervention as well, instruction.
Okay.
Actually, if I can just add
Sure.
to this. So earlier this evening, we heard about the need for an intervention specialist and possibly PE and computer. And I know we had an add-back list in the budgeting process, and I'm not sure where those were on the add-back. But when you come back, if you could, what I'd like to ask is, if we could look at maybe coming back a little sooner, because I'm concerned that a large part of the education year is going to slip by. And if we are in a position where we can bring back some of the resources we need, particularly given what you've just told us about, that we do have an issue, I want to make sure that we're not solving it, the week before testing starts. I'd rather that we work with budget and see if it's sort of an intermediate, even if it's just a short term, on a trial basis. The school year goes by so quick, and anybody we bring in is going to need time to come up to speed. So if we do something towards the end of the year, they're going to do it right before testing, and then the year ends, and we've lost another year.
Okay, so I'll work with Ms. Allen on that. What I will say is that it's definitely a conversation that I need to have with the staff first. As I walk through classrooms, what I see is that although we have a lot of students who are in basic, that's that tier 1, that teachers, if provided strategies, are actually able to boost those kids. And so, but again, I need to meet with the staff, meet with Ms. Allen, and really look at our RTI to see what's strong and what's not. So I don't want to say we have to have an intervention teacher today, because we need to really look at what's going on in the classrooms and in our RTI before I can say that.
So if it's possible, like either at the next board meeting or the board meeting after, to get some sort of report back. It could be very brief. It doesn't need to be complicated, but I just want to get some response from administration, because we've heard a number of things tonight about needs. We also heard from the ASB president about wanting
Electives.
more after-school, and we heard about the need for after-school interventions as well as clubs for the more advanced kids. So
Yeah.
I know these things are expensive, and I know we have to be judicious with our funds, and at the same time, I want to make sure that the kids have the resources
Yes.
they need. So I understand it's a budget, but if you could give us some options to respond to some of these that are soon enough that it won't be at the end of the school year.
Okay, that's
That would be
doable.
great.
Okay, so professional development, and I have this slide on here because in order to address Common Core standards, for example. It all boils down to professional development. And so basically, professional development at NEAs is led by Ms. Allen, myself, and Ms. Cologne and the instructional leadership team. Ms. Allen is more on she works with me and Sharice in terms of Common Core. And then myself, Ms. Cologne, and the instructional leadership team, which are about 6 teachers, we work on planning the professional development for teachers.
So have we started that professional development for Common Core yet?
We have taken, yes,
Okay.
and it's a different approach.
Okay.
So as I've been going to a few trainings.
Okay.
And so last year, we had a couple of folks from ACOE come in and do like Common Core 101, like what is Common Core, what are some of the shifts, what is depth of knowledge.
Right.
This year, we've started with pedagogical practices that are shifting
Okay.
Versus necessarily some of the standards. However, we are getting into that. So this whole first semester is about unpacking Common Core
Okay.
standards.
So we haven't spent any funds on the Common Core for professional development for teachers as of right now.
You would have to ask Ms. Allen that, but not that I know of, but that's a Ms. Allen question. Okay, so Common Core state standards, that's our focus this year. In terms of, we're shifting to a new set of standards and a new way of doing things. Uncommon CCS, I did not mean to put that. So anyway, we'll...
No, that's the Common Core standards are not so common.
Right.
That's the essence
That was a
of it.
typo, though. But standards, we definitely want to go over the standards blueprint, the depth of knowledge, shifts in pedagogy, smarter balance, and lesson study K-12, and that will be in the spring. Okay? And this is just an example of depth of knowledge. It's kind of similar to Bloom's taxonomy in terms of the different levels of critical thinking from the knowledge stage to application and synthesis. So the depth of knowledge is similar. And this is an area that we definitely need to focus on. What does it look like in the classroom? What does it look like in the instruction? What does it look like from students? So this is one of the major areas that we will be focusing on this year.
Okay, good.
And then also rigor relevance framework. It sounds like a lot, but the IoT and Ms. Cologne and I, we met on Monday, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we put these two together? Because rigor is extremely important, and it's related to Common Core, but we want to make sure it's not segmented, but that it's like a continuous, it meshes really well. So when I walked through classrooms last year, I shared with my staff, I noticed, just like with your students when I taught, kids are on different levels. And I noticed that in order for all of us to move forward, we all have to be rigorous every day, all the time. And so that's why rigor is a part of our focus this year. And basically, each student is expected to learn at high levels. Each student is supported so he or she can learn at high levels, and each student demonstrates learning at high levels. And that's very important. We read, I bought the staff a book. It's called Rigor Made Easy. And our goal is to do book talks this year, however we can get it done. I'm looking, I have 2 IoT members in the audience. And then also relevant students are able to apply knowledge to real world situations. I'm having
So
some
do you
issues
feel we
with
need,
this.
does this framework right here needs to have more funding to get us to where you want to get with this framework? Because in some cases I'm hearing, with some of our students, they need more intervention. We have teachers that need a little bit more professional development. So I'm going to assume for us to get there, those two things, intervention and professional development, really has to be the focus. Would you agree or disagree, or what's your
Professional
thoughts on
development is a huge focus.
it? Right.
Yes, to get us to wherever we're going. We all have to be on the same page, and yeah, that oftentimes requires funding.
And so, again, I think it goes back to Member Simon, to come to the board to let us know exactly what you need so we can, make sure that the funds are there, especially, in this area of your framework, for professional development as well as intervention, whatever that is, and how you all.
Remember, Dwayne, I believe that's also the essence of the LCAP, if I'm not
That's correct.
mistaken. So
Right.
the LCAP has to come back to us separately, and just so that the learning, I don't want to speak in acronyms, but I might need some help with this. It's the
Local control?
local control
Accountability
action plan, accountability plan, which is a specific plan because the state, as part of the new local control funding formula, has put specific money for this training. And so we have to have a plan that says specifically how we're spending those monies on this training to make sure that it happens. And we as a district are accountable to make sure these funds are used for this training and not for anything else. So, I believe
Yeah, they're
that's coming
they're
to us
specifically
when?
earmarked funds. This is all part of the work that, as Ms. Allen said, we'll be bringing to you next month and next month and
There we
next month,
go.
every month.
Very good.
You'll receive ongoing information about this process.
And what I can say is that my feeling from the staff, just from conversations and questions about Common Core, is that people are ready and willing to make a shift. It's going to be a challenge in some cases because, well, it's something new
Right.
for most of us, but we are in a great position because we've been working with the Silicon Valley Math Initiative for years.
Right.
And so, for example, the SBAC, I can't think of what the acronym stands for. Yeah,
Smarter Balance
that one,
Assessment.
Smarter Balance Assessment. They actually helped create that. And so some of the tasks that will be assessed are similar to the Mars assessments, and we've been given those for years.
Good.
So this year, we're working on, in terms of the pedagogical practices that I talked about, or the strategies, are number talks, Mars assessments, and re-engaging students in them in Problem of the Month. Those are all things that will help with the Smarter Balance, help students access it. I went to a training today in Foster City with Silicon Valley Math Initiative, and people are trying to figure out how do we do this number talks thing school-wide? How do we implement Mars tasks school-wide? And that's something that the NEA staff has experienced in, and have been experiencing doing this for years.
Right.
Now our task is, and I talk to the staff, how do we get exceptional at it? Because right now we're good at it, and people have come to our school to look to see other principals. How do you do this? How do you implement this?
Yeah.
But how do we as a staff become exceptional in every classroom? And that's what we're working on this year.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the assessments have to be done to really be able to drill down for the intervention. And for me, my perspective is that once we have those assessments, the drill down of intervention is where it all lies. So once we have those assessments, we really need to dig into how do we intervene.
So you're saying the formative assessments every
Exactly.
4 weeks, once we have the information, once we know where students are, what interventions are in place for
Exactly.
those students? I
That's the
agree.
key.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Do you all have any questions?
I've been asking them.
I have to say, this is a very, very good presentation,
Yeah.
and
Thank you, Ms. Lathan.
really appreciate it. And this is a great one. I don't know if people have, is this on Prezi?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if people
Ms.
have
Lewis showed me how
Prezi
to do
player.
it.
It's a great technology, and it lays out the goals much better than I was able to earlier. So I think this is a wonderful way to present it, and so I think one of our 5 ways we'll be putting it on the website. But if there are opportunities to present this to the parents and to the Annie Yates community, I hope that you'll take advantage of that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's very well done, thank you.
You know, and I guess the only statement that, you know, I would have, kind of relating to what Member Simon said earlier, is that, you know, that you would come back, you know, late December, early January with the how of the intervention and, you know, what's our strategies and implementation for that, for those students who
Okay.
are below proficiency.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great job.
Let me
Any
just
public
briefly ask,
comment?
are there any public comments on this for Ms. Miles?
Oops. Just brief, first of all, Audrey Miles, Anna Yates, first grade teacher. Just to add briefly to what Jag said, one of the other things that we have that's really important is the after-school program, and that is the drama club, which just started. It started last week, and a product of that was our Miss Haley Mack, who is also now our student council. So it also goes to show you how the arts do help with other skills, such as public speaking, and Haley is definitely a leader now in the after-school drama program. As well, continuing this year will be the Emeryville Police Department, who will be doing the buddy reading program, and that is one of their community projects that they work with us for the last 8 years. I wanted to make sure that that was noted because the community involvement piece is really important in what makes Anna Yates has a good, strong community relationships with the police department, the senior center, and other groups. We also just found out from them today that they want to partner with us to work on a food drive for starting in November. So that's important because that's a community involvement piece that helps our kids know where they came from, what they need to do to be a part of the community. And as well, the last piece is the Civic Pride organization. We're going to try to continue that. We have at least 12 students. That's also part of Anna Yates' program that extends to the community and civic engagement. That piece will involve the students working with Carol Tobit this year. There won't be a conference, but the students will be doing community engagement, such as the elections and other things. So just to note that as additional things.
When does that start, the Civic Pride piece?
This year, they will not be doing the conference, but they will be working with the 12 students who were elected in the previous year, and Mr. Simon's daughter is also still part of the leadership group. They will be working with other schools within Oakland and other areas to do community involvement pieces.
Will there be a banquet?
There will be no banquet this year. Funding does not allow, but we'll be doing other things with elections and other upcoming community involvement pieces.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tracy Lewis again. As you can tell from Ms. Lathan's presentation that we are actively working toward Common Core and making the transitions. So as she comes back with that how-to and works with us, know that it's already on our minds. We're already doing the assessments. We are, to reiterate what she says, we're already doing the work. The staff is motivated. We're charged. We're doing it, but we want to be exceptional so that our scholars can be exceptional. So we will need additional supports in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was helpful. Any other public comments? Okay, let's go on to
Mr.
the high
Shavron.
school. Mr. Shavron. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Right, so that works. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm William Shavron. I'm the principal of Emory Secondary School. and today I'll be giving a fall presentation, and my focus areas will be attendance, proficiency in mathematics and reading, language, arts, student leadership and voice, parent involvement, athletics, and our Berkeley City College and ROP courses. Okay, so our attendance, the target is to maintain 96% or better this year. And so some of the things that we are doing to address absences, first of all, we have eTruancy, who generates letters that are sent out to the households. And the letters are sent out when there are 3, 6, and 9 unexcused absences. If a student gets to 6 unexcused absences, then of course they'll have I'll have an informal conversation where I will invite the students into my office and really speak to them about the importance of attending school, the value of school, and what happens in the next steps if they continue to be absent. During the third notification, at this time, the student has 9 unexcused absences. We bring in Ms. Walker, our data and registrar at our school, Ms. Walker. We bring in the parents, we bring in myself, of course, we have our counselor and the student, and we discuss what are some strategies that we can use in order to get the student to school on time, and what can we do to build an interest and give value to their education. And then some things that come up from that are maybe a student needs a Clipper card or a BART card, or there's a financial issue. Some students don't have alarm clocks, so if we provide an alarm clock, or the parents go and buy an alarm clock, students have come back saying they're coming back on time. We've addressed the absences, and students are really coming and talking to us, thanking us for that simple. Sometimes it's that simple. Other times, there are household issues or things that occur, and then we're able to use some of our teams that I'll be talking about later to address those concerns. So addressing tardies, inside of our classrooms, our teachers basically are able to address those tardies, and one of the ways they've done it is by improving the value of the first 15 minutes of class. So, of course, we have our warm-up. There's value points that the students can get if they are there for the warm-up. If they're not there, then they lose those points, as well as just understanding that's where it's going to be the most a very interesting, very exciting part of the lesson. So, students want to be on time.
Can I ask you a question? Do we know the percentage of tardiness that we have in our high school among students?
I don't have that information.
Can you come back
this
with that?
time. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the other question, the high school is at 96% ADA?
That is,
attendance?
yes, to maintain that.
Average daily attendance?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, some incentives that we have to address attendance are the Perfect Attendance Award that goes on at our academic rally, as well as just, as I said before, just really, we're actually discussing in our attendance meetings what are other incentives that we can have. But one of the main things is their academic career should be important enough, and so we have those conversations about that. If it gets to it, we do have a SART team, and as well as we have our School Attendance Review Board, the SARB team, and we really try to interrupt this deficiency before it becomes or gets to the board, but we do have those in place, and Ms. Walker, myself, and our counselor, Mr. Patterson, serve as the SART team. And on the board, we actually include the district attorney. We include the Emeryville Police Department, and then they will be sent over to the district attorney's office.
Can you explain what that is, SART?
SART?
Yeah.
So that is the School Attendance Review Team, and that's where we bring them in. And this is actually on site. We bring them in, and that's where we have that discussion about what strategies we can help with, okay, or implement in order to get the student to school. Okay. And then, of course, after that, it goes to SARB.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the next is proficiency in mathematics and reading language arts. One of the targets is for at least 16 out of our 20 students will meet or exceed benchmark on each formative benchmark assessment. So at this time, we've moved to block scheduling, and this allows our teachers more time to meet student needs. Our teachers were actually trained by the Bureau of Education and Research last year as we prepared for moving into block scheduling. We also have committees and teams that address whatever student needs that we have on our campus, so this allows time for us to have those opportunities to meet, as well as I talked to students about it, and they were saying that they appreciate teachers have more one-on-one time. And, you know, if you don't understand something, you have small group learning, and you also have one-on-one time to actually master master the skills. Also, it allows the teachers to use multiple strategies in a lesson to include multiple learning styles. And so that was something that, as one of the students were explaining what they liked about it, as they said, it's not just a lecture, or it's not just, you know, one style per class. They actually can do 3 different styles of teaching within the 100 minutes that the teacher has. Something else, as we talked about Common Core, we're in the beginning stages of Common Core. I actually pulled some information, just 2 quick quotes off of Common Core State Standards Initiative website, and that's the standards establish a staircase of increasing complexity in what students must be able to read so that all students are ready for the demands of college and career level reading no later than the end of high school. That's something that I've shared with the staff, and that's what we want to kind of serve as our base right now. Why are we moving to Common Core? What is it all about? As well as in mathematics, where our teachers are going to Silicon Valley Math Initiative, just as the Annie Yates teachers are. In mathematics, the high school standards set a rigorous definition of college and career readiness by helping students develop a depth of understanding and ability to apply mathematics to novel situations, as college students and employees regularly do. So, as I said, that serves as our base. And right now, we have Alameda County, which is providing a training for our staff on Wednesdays. We have Ms. Allen that is also assisting with our Common Core process. And I've been going to a few trainings as well. But our teachers are researching online best practices for Common Core. They are also taking online courses to improve their practices, as well as this year we are studying and implementing strategies, as I stated before, and then we're also talking about how as we study and learn, how we're going to implement them. So I think one of the questions that came up earlier, you know, as we are moving into proficiency for mathematics and reading language arts, it's taking a little bit of time, but by, as you stated, coming back in November, coming back in January, I think we'll have some pretty good data to share.
Do we know where we are now with the benchmark? I mean, we want to get to 80%. Where are we now? Do we know?
At this time, we I don't have that.
Okay.
Nope.
If you could come back with us with that as well.
Absolutely.
Just to see where we are in the gap.
Right. So right now, what we have for our, well, actually, I'm going to talk about the RTI, then I'm going to talk about the assessments, because we do have our plan to implement the benchmarks, as well as the data that we're studying in order to address our where we are and how we can get to proficiency. All right. So this year, we've moved into creating the structures for RTI, and right now we have we have our RTI teams and committees that meet, and the idea is that they study the current campus data, and as we study, we find strategies to address the challenges that we find. We roll those findings out to staff and make decisions, as well as we study the progress of our decision making. So we have 4 different teams that serve under our collaboration team, and then we also have 4 different committees. And so I'll give you a little bit of information about each of those teams that we have. So we have a collaboration team where the members are key decision makers on our campus. These are staff members, directors, teachers who have a strong relationship with the students. They have knowledge of how to make decisions and that impact the entire campus, and they share the vision of the district. On this team, we decide on placement of the referrals, study the data to inform our decisions, and find best practices for behavior, academics, and social progress. So the idea is we have a collaboration team at the top, and then under the collaboration team, we have 4 different teams. So as I stated in here, there's a referral that a teacher may have. They may refer a student for, as I said, attendance, or they may refer a student for something that they're lacking in academics, or they may have some sort of social issues or challenges that the teachers recognize, so they would give a referral to myself. I would bring it to this collaboration team, and then we'll talk about what team we need to give this referral to in order to address the needs of the students. So
when you say referral, where are they going after they get the referral?
So it's not a negative
Right.
behavior consequence referral. It's actually a referral of concern.
I guess where I'm going with this, what kind of resources are we referring them to get the help that they need?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
All right. So we have 4 different teams, and those teams are the instructional leadership team, the coordination of services team, the behavior management team, and the intense intervention team. So just quickly, the instructional leadership team is our entire teaching staff. We're small. We have a small number of teachers, so there's no need to, pool a small number of teachers, and we're small. So the entire staff serves as our instructional leadership team, and pretty much if there is, so right now what we're doing, we've actually broken out into what our team structure will look like, what are the different things that we're going to study. So do we want to do, or we're just discussing vertical teams, revolving teams, and subject area teams, as well as we're talking about team outcomes and goals, or deciding on team outcomes and goals. And the 4 that the staff chose today are implementing common articulated instructional strategies, creating many formative assessments that work for students, student engagement, and making learning visible. So those are the 4 things that our instructional leadership team has decided that we want to study within our PLC groups, and we're going to, as I said, study and make those decisions as a team and actually use those strategies inside the classroom. We also have the coordinations of services team that consists of our wellness staff, our nurse, of course the director of wellness, our school counselor, and the principal. And this team actually pulls together all of the services that we provide on campus, including the Family Resource Center for if there's families that have, as I said, there's challenges that our students face, and if it's something where the Family Resource Center can help, Wanda actually serves on this team as well. And so, as stated, if they get a referral from the collaboration team and it lays out everything that the challenges are, they go in, or we go in, we study it, and quickly study it, and we come up with the best solution. All these different members are able to contribute, as opposed to having a counselor working with the student and then having the wellness work with the student, and having myself work with the student, and we're not coordinating our efforts. So this team really serves for things that are beyond the classroom, and so that's the value. There's a great value to each of the teams, but one of that right there really talks to some things that we felt like we didn't have control of before. Now they're able to go beyond the classroom and assist. We have the behavior management team, and this team consists of teachers, counselor, myself. Ms. Allen also serves on this, but this team really takes what the referrals are, not just the number of referrals, but really studies why are the students getting the referrals, why are the students not in the classroom, or suspensions or whatever else, and comes up with different strategies to, is it the time of day, is it the period, is it the subject, what is it, they study those patterns. They also study, as I said before, what are the types of referrals, who are the people who are getting the referrals, and all of those things, and then come up with different strategies in order to increase the instructional minutes for the students where they're not being outside of the classroom. And then the last team, as I said, is the intense intervention team, and this is where the academic challenges throughout the campus go to this team. And from this team, most of the time we have SSTs. We decide to do SSTs. Sometimes we have 504s meetings that we talk about and bring parents in, and then other supports that may be needed come from the intense intervention team. So really creating, as I said, creating a structure where we can support all of the students' academic needs, behavioral needs, as well as their social needs. And then, of course, as I said before, we have our instructional leadership team that talks about our assessments and the creation of our benchmarks. Right now, we have our first marking period just ended, and we have our GPAs that have come out, and so that can serve as data that we can study. How many students do we have below a 2.0, and then we can actually dive into that group and figure out why is it that they are achieving below a 2.0. And from a quick glance, I just got the data before I came here. At a quick glance, we have decreased the number of students with below a 2.0, which is strong for our campus. But of course, that's not the only data that we study in order to think about the progress at the end of the year.
Since you just mentioned it, how are we doing with, how the data look for those behavior issues that you're talking about, that we refer, that we will refer out if students have those, behavior issues? How are we doing with those?
So this has actually been a 3-year process, thinking about 3 years ago where the idea was for us to decrease referrals, right. And we're actually at a point where we're not really paying as much attention to decreasing the referrals, but we are paying attention to, I didn't mention that this team is also studying character programs, so behavior character programs, things to be preventive, proactive.
So I'll say it another way. How are we doing with our suspensions? Is that decreasing?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That has decreased.
Okay.
But of course, the idea is to decrease that, but also implementing those, being proactive in this. So we've gotten to that point.
Well, I would think that those referrals would help with suspensions, especially around behavior.
Correct. And identifying it as not as a lashing out or disruptive behavior being suspended for it, but actually a cry out for help.
Right.
And how do we provide
exactly.
that? Okay. So we have student leadership and voice. What we will do is have Bria Williams-Moeller come forward and talk to you.
Good evening, President, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and all who are in attendance tonight. My name is Bria Williams-Moeller, and I have been appointed as the student representative to the Board of Trustees. I also serve as the Secretary and Treasurer of the freshman class. I am here tonight to talk about student leadership. Currently, we have 24 students who participate in student government. We take 3 leadership classes supported by Youth Together and 1 ASB meeting per week during A period Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. In class, we learn leadership and organization skills to help us better become student leaders and role models for our peers. In leadership classes and ASB meetings, we are working on fundraising, homecoming plans, public speaking, and student involvement. In class, we are reading in front of each other, which helps us practice on how we present ourselves and our school when it comes to speaking. Student involvement is a really big item that comes up a lot during our meetings. Strategizing on how to get students out of ASB to step up and unite together as Emory Secondary students. Our ASB officers include ASB President Vanessa Acosta, 12th grade President Antonia Fraser, 11th grade President Eliza Pettis, 10th grade President Ray Corona, and 9th grade President Michael Bell. I look forward to serving the board and my peers as the student representative and bringing information, inquiries, and suggestions from our student body. Thank you.
Oh, okay. But I mean, hold on. I just have one question. When will you be sitting on the dais?
Next meeting, 23rd.
The 23rd.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
And I should note that Ms. Williams is another product of our drama program.
Okay.
There you go. As well as many of the other great programs at NE8, so...
Miss Lewis, a student.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it is a pleasure to see Ms. Williams joining us on the board.
She was my student, too.
Right? Well, goodness, now she's my student. Okay. No, but very good. As stated, Ms. Williams is a great product of the entire district, and you know we are very accepting and very gracious that we have her on our campus. And she is a freshman, so you know that speaks a lot about our freshmen, our freshman class, all of our students. But we have a freshman that's serving on the board and came up here and spoke very well. So very proud of her.
So my question, Mr. Chairman, how are we going to select students to be on all these committees? What's going to be the criteria?
Okay. So right now,
And can we fill students on all these committees? I guess that should be the question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we have right now, so go ahead.
Yeah, come to the mic.
Introducing Brenda Collins to the stage.
Okay, so I'll just fill in a couple of the blanks. So there are students from the leadership teams that are sitting on all your committees now. You have your school board, all the committees that he was talking about that we have throughout the school.
So, okay.
And they are sitting on there.
Okay.
So what we did is once we did our leadership and our elections, we selected the kids that, you know, first we talked to them about what is expected of them,
Right.
and then we did a little training,
Right.
and then those that are the best qualified are the students you will see.
So we're going to have students on the Athletic Safety Committee, the WASP Committee, the School Site Council Committee, the LCAP Program Development,
School Site Council,
City Schools.
Done.
Will we have our City Schools members soon?
Done.
And COC?
They'll be at the next meeting?
Done.
Excellent.
Okay.
So
on
just so
top
you
of
know,
it.
if you
Excellent.
remember last spring, when we began this planning as a result of the day, the Youth Engagement Day, the goal was to do this leadership development and build capacity with the students first before we brought them forward to you.
Right.
So, and that's the work that the leadership
job.
class has been involved in, and the naming of the students, the getting them ready.
Okay.
And they've just done a fantastic job, K-12, of working on this, particularly with the
Good job.
So
middle
not
school
only
and
are
eighth
the
graders.
students sitting on all the community seats as well as the school board, but they are also sitting on the monthly meeting. Once a month, they meet with the, they're sitting with the committees throughout the school as well.
Okay, good. Great job. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the process, as they stated, we have a leadership class that works with the ASB, and most of our ASB makes up most of that class. What they do in order to include all of the student body, their voice, they will go out and give surveys, class surveys. They have class meetings, and it's led by the ASB members. This group meets 4 times a week. And so, as they all stated, it really builds capacity where they can be contributing members on these committees, on these teams, and these boards. Because the worst thing is for them to be on there but not participate. So we really want to build a strong participation among these students on these teams and board. I didn't get a chance to talk about the committees that we have. We have the athletic committee. We have the safety. We have, of course, as you see here, WASC. We have SSC. But we also have student activities committee, and it does say on there safety. So on the committees, the students will, some of the stuff that we talk about is sensitive information, and we have to make some decisions or whatever. But we actually have, for each of the committees, we've selected one meeting a month that we will include students to come and give their voice and be there for the entire meeting, and really, we'll give them different things to think about, discuss, and give their perspective before we actually make those decisions.
And I'll extend the same invitation to the high school clubs, committees, ASB. They would like to have board members come and speak to them regarding or just hear some of their needs. I'm more than willing to come to a meeting.
Got it. Thank you. And then just at the bottom, we have Youth Together, which is a program that works with building those leadership skills within our students, alongside Miss Brenda Collins, and they're doing an incredible job. As you walk in there, you see some really good things going on as students prepare for going out into the community, their school community as well as the Emeryville community. So it's pretty dynamic. Right now, parent involvement, the target is to comply with requirements for parent involvement in site decision-making committees. Right now, we have our school site council. I'm gonna start at the bottom. We have our parent-teacher organization that met one time last month, and then this month they'll be meeting on October 16th. At our parent-teacher organization initial meeting, we had a potluck, and we had a number of parents come out. We selected on the leadership, who was going to be the president, vice president, and I believe they did come and speak with you all, introduce themselves to you all at the previous board meeting. But we have some pretty incredible parents in our community. We have some new parents who've stepped up. We have old parents who continue to step up. And then we have parents who are starting to get involved. So a lot of that as well is on Ms. Collins, and she's been really rallying the parents to come on out. At our next PTO, we will be deciding on our school site council leadership team. And so that's where they will be voting, as well as we're looking to have our first school site council meeting on November 20th. And that's a tentative because it's up to the members of when they're available, but we're shooting for November 20th. And then the English Language Advisory Council, I believe Kim Miller is going to come and speak later on about that, but we are actively recruiting parents to be on that board as well.
I think you also need to add, the LCAP committee as well, because parents are supposed to be on that committee as well. And I will ask a question from one of our board members who is not here tonight, and I actually meant to ask Ms. Lathan this as well, but the question is, how do both sites plan on building a robust parent engagement to sustain a strong school site council, as well as have parents involved in the LCAP program, or the LCAP committee, I'm sorry.
Okay, so how do we plan to, what is the plan to increase parent involvement?
Right, and have it sustainable, robust, and sustainable, especially for the school site council and the LCAP committee.
So I think both principals can talk about the school site council, but the LCAP, as I talked about earlier, is a responsibility of the district because it's a district advisory council. So when we come back with the plan, we'll talk about how we're recruiting parents and how the current structures for the parents, how they'll receive feedback. Because I'm not sure if you all have been, I know Mark Bonet has come and talked a little bit about the 8 areas.
Right.
And one of the areas, when you look at actually the process or the flow chart, some of it is you have parents that are actually on the LCAP. Another part of the process is that you go to your existing parent groups, like your school site council, your DLAC, and then they give you feedback. So I think that will be answered more when we come back with the full plan.
I think the point that Member Dwin is getting to, and the point that Member Affelt has brought up as one of the people who designed the funding formula in the first place, has been that in this new funding for schools, parent involvement is a critical piece of it. So we're going to have to change the way we operate to be more inviting and more welcoming, and to scaffold parent involvement in the same really extraordinary way that you've scaffolded student involvement. So I think that's looking for how we're going to do that is the critical.
That is correct. And so if I have to wear this sign on my neck over and over, that's exactly why I continue to bring back that framework of Joyce Epstein. There's 6 different ways of parent involvement, and what we're talking about right now is just one component of the 6. It's decision making. Okay. So that's one component of parent involvement. The PTO provides a whole different level of parent involvement. So I think as we start to use that framework and that language, then it'll be crystal clear in terms of where parents are involved, because everyone will not be involved in an LCAP.
Well,
you'll have parent representatives.
And that's what, I think that's what we want.
Oh, exactly. And so with the LCAP, the LCFF, that's at a district level, and when we bring that back to you, you'll understand the 8 areas. Again, we'll go over that, and we'll also talk about the timeline and actually the process that California Department of Education has.
So let me ask you this: what's the regularity of the school site council meetings?
So school site council meetings meet once a month. Okay. That's the required time, is just to meet once a month.
Okay. So I would like for staff to at least once a month just come back and tell the board that the school site councils are meeting or have met, and just basically, what the agenda looked like.
That's fine. And give a brief synopsis of what occurred. That's fine.
Okay.
I also want to point out a practice that, Mr. Shavin, that you've done in your presentation here, and I'd like to just highlight this. As parents get more involved, and as a whole new language of acronyms roll out, it's very easy for people to get turned off to getting involved because ELAC is just not a term that is commonly heard. So by spelling it out the way you have and putting in parentheses, it's from a communication standpoint, you're giving access. I would ask as we go forward in all of the presentations, because we put these on the website and then we expect people to understand them, if it just said ELAC there, somebody going onto the website's going to see ELAC and say, oh, gee,
may not know.
This is above my head, and turn it off. So spelling things out like that and communicating is very helpful. Thank you. Good job.
All right, so this year, I believe I stated it last year, wanting to revise the eligibility process and procedure for our athletes. Last year we had a lot of athletes Over 50% of our student population were athletes, and really wanting to push them to, of course, meet the challenges that come on the field and on the courts, but also meet the challenges inside the classroom. And so we actually have an athletic committee that consists of a teacher, Ms. Walker, who is serving as support with athletics, and myself. And we really sit down once a week and we discuss or study the data of where our athletes are when it comes to GPA and those types of things, as well as talk about what are some policies that we need to put in place or things that we need to put in place in order to push them even harder. And so at this time, as I stated, my first glance at the GPAs, we've decreased the amount of students that are below 2.0, but it was a difficult decision for us in talking about our eligibility requirements. And so we maintained it being at a 2.0. We were discussing moving it to 2.5 and all of that. So I think eventually, hopefully by next year, we'll be able to actually push that. But for right now, it made more sense to kind of keep it where it is, and then but consistently speak with our coaches about motivating students to reach a 2.5, reach, of course, above that, but not fall below a 2.5. And before, it was just if you get a 2.0, no matter how you got the 2.0, but we noticed that students were able to get more than one F and still have a 2.0. So that was something that we were able to study and say, oh, okay, well, that's something we'll change. So at this time, if you get actually you can't get more than one F. If you get one F, that's not okay, and then we have academic probation for the students who have one F. But if you have more than one F, you're not eligible. And so academic probation, of course, you'll be on academic probation for one marking period, which is 6 weeks, and within that, you'll be doing study hall for an hour and a half after school, and sometimes that cuts into the practice time, but they understand it's a reason why they're missing out on practice time or whatever else. So that's understood, and it's a contract that's signed by parents, students, and of course myself. And so I haven't seen any strengths or challenges actually at this time, because we just got the information today, and tomorrow, October 10th, is the day that I will be saying who's eligible and who is not. So I'm sure tomorrow I'll have a lot of challenges with this if we have students that fall under the ineligible list.
So how are we doing with intervention at the high school and working with those students that are below proficiency? I mean, is there a need for intervention? Do we need to, as a board, look at funding intervention at the high school as well?
Absolutely. But as I spoke about the teams before, the intense intervention team,
right.
That's the team that actually is studying, why are our students not achieving at a high level, as well as our instructional leadership team. The entire staff is studying how we can move the students to proficiency.
Okay, so we haven't got to the how of the next level as well. Okay.
And then some really good information speaking about the Berkeley City College partnership and the ROP courses that we now are able to offer to our students, and just different relationships that we're building outside of our campus. So the target is providing more opportunities for students to participate in college level and ROP courses. Right now we offer English 101 and English 21 as courses on our campus, and those courses are they are recognized by UC and CSU. So we have the we have a spring proposal for after-school courses, and we've spoken with Berkeley City College, and they are very excited to offer a certification program for our students, starting at the junior class. So our juniors and seniors will have the opportunity to take BCC courses, and it's a 24-unit program, and they will receive certification at the end of that. So by the time they graduate from high school.
What form of certification?
So it will actually be 1 year that they've completed for college course. So when they graduate
for any major, no specific
no
concentration.
Right. No, it's not. We haven't made it to that point yet. But a way that we'll be able to do this is where we'll be able to increase the amount of courses that we offer during the day. Right now we have 2. We'll be able to increase the amount of courses during the day, but as well as we'll actually implement an opportunity for our students to take courses after 4 p.m. So our campus will be open to our students taking college courses after 4 p.m.
Okay.
And you're going to receive a full presentation of this partnership on December 11th, and Chancellor Ortiz and President Budd from BCC will be here as part of that presentation. That both staffs from our end and from their end will give that presentation on that partnership.
Great. Now, just one other question is: will parents be eligible to participate in those classes?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. So it's an incredible opportunity for the entire community, but of course our students.
So at this time we're offering, well, BCC classes, English 101, and what's the other one?
English 21.
Okay. Thank you.
And the last thing, we have ROP courses, we have culinary arts, graphic arts, and we have biotechnology. And so the culinary arts and graphic arts courses are being offered at Albany High School, and the biotechnology course is offered at Berkeley High School. And so going into next semester, we want to increase those opportunities for our students to take culinary arts, graphic arts, those ROP courses, and reports from the students at this time is that these are some of the most interesting classes that they're taking. They're really able to, they get involved. They let me know the different things that's going on the campus, and it's exciting to see the smiles on their faces just being offered these opportunities. So right now we have our seniors that are attending these ROP courses.
Okay, you answer my question. How many students do we have in the ROP program? Do we know?
Right now we have 10. That's due to seats that were available. Thinking about Albany and Berkeley High, but I have been speaking with the principals in wanting to increase our seats, and it was just a matter of timing. So they have said that they can increase the number of our students attending those classes.
Great, great.
And
we've been involved with this ROP program for some years now, about 5-6 years.
Absolutely, and we offer the computer courses on our campus.
And this is Contra Costa's ROP program, not
Yes.
Alameda's, right?
Yes, Contra Costa. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
We can ask some questions after
All
that.
right.
Thank you, Gary.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Very comprehensive presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Shaver.
Are there any questions or comments from the public on this presentation? If not, then I close this item, and the superintendent, do you have any last words?
Just to review the calendar very quickly, and I think we'll be able to adjourn the meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much. And thank you. I just want to thank both the principals for your time and effort. I know your days start very early in the morning, and we're here now at 8:30 at night, so it's a very long day. So I very much appreciate your the level of detail and thoughtfulness and care in your presentations, and it's helpful both for us and for the public to be able to hear them both tonight and through the broadcast of these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's now move to, Miguel, do you have any board reports?
No.
No? No announcements? If there's no announcements, then we'll go to calendar review.
Yes, so let's see. The Finance Committee will meet on October 16th. The Curriculum Committee will meet on October 23rd, right before the board meeting on October 23rd. Facilities Committee meeting November 6th. City Schools meeting is November 7th. And just so everyone knows, in November and in December, November 13th and December 11th, we only have one meeting. So for the rest of the year, there are only 3 board meetings left.
So we have one in November and one in December?
That's correct. And the December meeting is our reorg meeting.
What date is that?
The 11th. And the Peralta Community College will be here as well. And that's it for my calendar review.
All right. And we do not have any items to discuss in closed session.
Those have been pulled.
So we are not having closed session. And with that, at the incredibly early hour of before 8:30, I call this meeting adjourned.
This is a first. This is a first.